Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. Today we're going to continue checking out Folk Metal Week. If you would like to check out any of my social media, Patreon and Twitter, you're more than welcome to. The links are right there as well as in the description. Today's request comes from Coyote Blue, who says that I may enjoy the mixing of metal sounds with unrelated genres. I should check out the song Curtains by the band Vintersorg. So that's what we're doing today. Interestingly, this came up as a folk metal band when I was doing some research, but Coyote says that it's kind of a mixed bag of everything, so let's get into this and find out. Some really good Renaissance era classical music. Really interesting time feel shifts going on here. Spoken word, almost yelling. Right? So we've had a lot of stuff going on. We've had Renaissance era classical, there's some like heavy metal, and now we're into some speed metal. This song is all over the place. Okay. Alright, that slide was impressive. Just some straight metal here. Oh, with some spookiness. Almost sounds like a theremin in the background. Could be a synthesizer though. Okay. Back to this riff, but we got vocals on it this time. Interesting bass work going on. Okay. Okay.
A prelude to the swirling drama, creation, formation, design.
Yeah, yeah, I can get behind this. Is that it? Yep. So yeah, that was quite enjoyable. Not again, not what I was expecting as far as folk metal is concerned. I think it's kind of interesting, unless there is no such thing as like a pure folk metal sound. I think it's interesting that we so far have listened to a bunch of bands or at least songs that have progressed folk metal kind of into other realms where we're getting kind of these hybrid genres rather than a pure folk metal. I don't know. I kind of have an idea of what I think folk sound should sound like and kind of what folk music with metal instruments should sound like, and we haven't really done it yet. We're 3 days in and it's not matching my expectations. And again, that could just be me, um, or it could just be an interesting coincidence that we aren't picking any pure folk metal, getting all these sub genres. But either way, I really enjoyed this. I think the most important thing I want to talk about, though, is their compositional chops. I find it interesting that they've chosen to fixate on metal as a foundation and incorporate these other genres rather than starting with these other genres because their Renaissance based or Renaissance era classical music is solid. Their piano solo, like solo pianist, classical work. I mean, it's not super classical. It has like a little bit of a jazziness to it. Um, Almost be like a 1920 swing piano sound. Um, has I mean, it has teeth. It is a really good composition. I think that if I don't know who composes. I don't know if it's a single person or everyone in the band or maybe a couple members. But I think that they could easily write like a string quartet and have it come off as really well, something that the classical community would enjoy, even on a not even just on a listening level, but also on an intellectual level. I think these guys have the chops to do that, and I think it's really interesting that they've chosen to fixate on metal, uh, like I said, as their foundation, incorporating these other interests into it rather than straight up being a classical composer or like a swing jazz composer, something like that. Um, so yeah, that's really cool because, like I said, they have the chops to write in other genres. They have the skills. Um, I think they could do that. But it's really interesting that the band the band is fun. At least this song is fun. There's a lot of subversion of expectations, kind of sweeping the rug out from under you. There's a lot of aspects where they kind of break the rules of what would conventionally be good practice in order to, again, subvert expectations, but in a comical way, not in a chaotic way. For instance, the random shift from speed metal to classical pianist, and then putting a singer in there in a high falsetto doing these wild slides. Where usually, when you slide, you get like a half note or a whole note. Usually, kind of slide into um, a resolution usually, and this guy is like sliding half an octave higher, and it's just kind of haphazardly, just kind of like flying into these notes, and it's to me it's comical. It breaks so many rules in ways that I don't expect. It breaks the convention of good sounding music. But again, not in a chaotic way. This isn't breaking the rules like Meshuggah would, where it's still unexpected. It's still sweeping the rug out from under you, but it's doing so in almost a pure chaos way. This is more of like just jamming out and having fun with your buddies, and you guys, you're all expert musicians and you're just jamming out, and you got a guy just like doing all this fun stuff and all the different vocal styles. There's like four different harsh styles. There's the tenor, like spoken style. There's tenor bass maybe. I mean, it's a pretty low spoken. Um, and then you have your falsetto stuff, and you have like these grandiose theater style singing, and it's just the band is having so much fun with this, and maybe that's why they chose metal rather than a classical avenue. Even though metal is mostly serious and a lot of the fans don't want fun or catchiness or anything that isn't just raw anger or sadness or whatever, just that hard metal. There are bands out there that have a lot of fun, and you don't see that in classical or jazz very often. Well, jazz you can see a bit of fun. Classical though, for the most part, is all very serious. You can usually get a little nod and wink, some little tongue in cheek composition for a bar or like half a musical phrase, just a little in joke there. But the songs as a whole are usually rarely comical. And maybe that's why they chose metal, because metal actually has a precedent for it, even though it's not hyper popular. But yeah, overall, I mean, I dig everything about this. I don't know if it's folk metal or not. To me, it comes off as kind of experimental, post music kind of stuff, postmodern metal. But it's fun. It kept my attention, and it just constantly threw these curveballs at me that had me laughing. And I don't laugh at music very often. So that's something for me. I give them points for that. But on top of that, they're also really good musicians. The vocalist, I don't know how many there are. They have so many styles. They have such control over their instrument, their vocal cords. The guitarists have chops. The drummer was doing those blast beats, and into that crazy drum fill back into the blast beats. I mean, his endurance is ridiculous. Um, and then on top of that, he's just got this really solid sitting in the pocket when he needs to, when they're not just doing that harsh speed metal stuff. The guitarists, they can play these beautiful things, but they also can bust out some tremolo picking. I'm pretty sure that was a live violin in there. Um, really good stuff there as well. Just everything about this band is good in a strange way, strange in a good way. I don't know. That's what I think of Vintersorg, though. This is where you come in, though. Let me know down in the comments what you thought. If you've heard of them before, is there anything else I should check out from them? Do they write any other genres? I mean, we saw classical and like 1920 stuff in here. Do they have the compositional skills to incorporate anything else? I'm really just interested in how big their toolbox is, because to me it seems like it might be limitless, judging by what they've done here. They seem like the kind of people who would continue to improve their compositional skills, and not just within one genre. Like they will just absorb anything. If you haven't heard of them before, what'd you think? I mean, are you agreeing with me that this is just like a really fun time, really good composition? Was it too much for you? Was it too chaotic for you? Did it not, whatever? Let me know that in the comments. While you're down there, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. If you like, you can check out my social media. Links are posted at the beginning and in the description. And I think that pretty much wraps this up. Uh, I have a Q&A coming out later today, assuming that there are no technical issues with that. And yeah, otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. as usual, with the next episode for folk metal. Until then, y'all take care and have a fantastic day, morning, or evening. Day, morning, or evening. Just have a fantastic time whenever you watch this.